Hello, happy Friday or happy Good Friday. Wanted to show you a couple of things that I've been working on recently. I've had several people help me. You know who you are. This is again more for the nerd collectors out there. This is just another aspect of card backs that you might not have realized has always been there under our nose. Might not have realized why it's there, but that's why we have people like me who like to notice this stuff and research it to death and figure it out. So anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is now how did Kenner catalog all of these card backs? Now, of course, you have each figure has a particular number. You know the number in the corner that corresponds to the actual number of figure. But those figures also came on card backs of different, different numbers. And so, you have a 45 versus, let's say, a 48A. Well, how does anyone know that's, how do they know the difference? If you're trying to track a card back in an inventory, how do you do it? You can't use the barcodes because most of the barcodes are the same. You can't use the figure number because how do you know you're selling a Cloud Car Pilot on a 45 back versus a 48 back, so on and so forth. So there is a system, okay, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that system. So one of the numbers and this all started with the 45s, okay. Before this, there was no tracking numbers, at least that can be seen, so they had to have tracked it a different way. Now, whether that was because maybe they used a new inventory system. Maybe it's because, they had a different way of tracking it. I don't know. But this is just the way that seems to have been the case from the 45 card backs on. And so if you look at a card back, you'll notice this number right here. Okay. So the 45s, they started with the 236. Then there was a 3-digit number. And then there was a 2-digit number after that. Okay. There's no dashes or hyphens in there. But you'll see as we work through these, there's a reason to put dashes or in there that will correspond appropriately. Okay, so there's this mystery number here. What the heck is that? Okay. And so so if you look at and you go down, your card backs, and again, look, there it is. And this is a 47 card back. You go on this one, and guess what? You don't see it at all. But if you go to the next one in the series, you get a glimpse of it, even though they ripped the card back off, but you see a glimpse of this number, okay? So that number is meaningful, and the number can actually help you figure things out about which card back it is and the significance of it, okay? And so one of the things, so starting again with the ESB 45 card backs, they had these numbers. Now, within that number, there's 3 parts to the number. There's the first 3 digits, correspond to the fact that it's an Empire Strikes Back card. Okay, the second 3 digits correspond to the character number. Now, believe it or not, there's a handful of characters that change numbers when they go to the 48 backs, and we'll talk about that. And then the last 2 numbers is the version of the printed card back. Okay, if you have a sticker offer like the 48Bs is the Akbar offer, but it was a sticker, there's no change in that number. And so each card back has a classification number, the last 2 digits, that corresponds to the printed card back. Okay, so let's go over that in a little detail. Okay, so again, you've got, this number here. Okay, so this one has, let me get my old man eyes here again. So this has a 236 03300. And so the 33, like I said, the 236 is ESB card back. The 33 is the Cloud Car Pilot. And the 00 at the very end is the first printed version of the Cloud Car Pilot on this card back. Okay, because again, 00 starts at 45. So all of the figures that are included here are 00s. Okay, all right. So anyways, now when you go to the 47 card back, you've got, well, let's go to, so the 47 was the next in the series. And if you look at the number again, This one's a 236. As I said, that's ESB. Second number is a 16. 16 is the AT-AT Commander, okay? And the last number now you see is an 01, because this is the second printed cardback version for the AT-AT Commander in the ESB series, okay? There it is. All right. So now, when you get into the 48s, okay, guess what? That number, what do you think it's going to be? So we have an 01, so the next version is going to be 02. And it goes like that through all of the ESB cards. And so a general, I kind of wrote this all down. So a general rule of thumb here is you have your 45s are 00, your 47s are 01, your 48s A and B, because those are both printed cardbacks that are similar. It's just that the 48B has the Akbar sticker on it, like this one. Okay, that's going to be the same card back as the 48A. All right, so it has the same corresponding number, which is a 2. And then the third version is 48C, because again, that was a printed card back, no more stickers, just the actual blue rim all the way around. And so that's the third version of a card back of a figure since the 45 prints. Okay, so again, like I said, you have the 236 number. You have the 3 digits that corresponds to the figure, and then you have the YY, which is the version number of the printed card back. Okay, so that's ESB. Okay, so that's where it starts out. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, as I said, the interesting thing is that there are a few figures where they have changed. The two most, how would I put it, well-known figures that change their numbers are, of course, R2 and 3PO. Well, the reason why they changed is because guess what? They're actually new figures, right? It's not the old R2, it's the sensor scope R2. It's not the old 3PO, now it's a removable limb 3PO. So that's a reason why those changed. And then the other changes of the figures are the ones that turned out to be new on the 45 card back. Okay, so that's just, and so what their numbers, the only numbers that changed are, of course, their character numbers. Now, of course, I could go over the exhaustive number of numbers, but I'm not going to. But anyways, so that's just something interesting to look at. So you get a new figure number. You can see, again, the version of the printed card back. And so if you're given a number, then you automatically know what card back that number corresponds to. So if, let's say you have half the card back ripped up on the back, but yet you have that number on the front, for the most part, you could probably, you know what printed card back that is. So it's just kind of an interesting number to know. All right, so that's kind of those are the ESBs. All right, so believe it or not, they have the same similar numbering system in Return of the Jedi cards, but it changes just a little bit. And they actually add, instead of the 3-digit code on the front, now they have a 4-digit code, but guess what the first number is? 0. So don't ask. I don't know why they wanted to use a 0. And so the first card back, well, we don't have a number for this one. Well, we don't have, meaning a number here. But this is the, ROTJ 48, what we call an A now. So it conjures up a new number. And so here's the format of that. So all of the figures that have appeared on the, let's say before, they have a designation of 0175. And so all the figures that have appeared before have that designation. Now, this number also corresponds to all the new figures that appeared on the 65 backs. Okay, so all 65 figures have an 0175 as their first number designator. Then they have the character codes. Then they have the YY codes, or basically the printed card back number codes. So here is the sort of cheat sheet on what those numbers are. So again, all of the basically Star Wars and ESB figures have a designation printed card back of 01 on the RTJ. 48s, right? Because that's the first printed card back that they had. Now, when you get down to the new 65, there's obviously the Return of the Jedi figures. Well, their version is going to be 00. But all the previous figures, the ESB and Star Wars figures, already have a printed version. So now on the 65 backs, their designator is going to be 2 because they've already started 1, right? Then when you get into 65C, well, guess what? That's a new printed card back. So now it's a 4. Now the question is, well, where did the 3 go? Well, the 3 is all the Mexican and Spanish production card backs. And then you can see 77, the A and Bs, which are their offers, but they're sticker offers, so their numbers stay the same. So 77s are 5s, 79s are 6, and then in the last printed change is the 79C, which it goes to an 07. Okay, so that's kind of that's the codes of those, and so we can basically go to this one, and we just kind of, check it out. So, let me get my glasses again. So this is FX7, obviously an ESB figure. So it's an 0175. You knew that was going to happen. His number is a 239, and this is an 01. So you know that this is basically first Return of the Jedi for an ESB or Star Wars figure on a Jedi card, because it's 01. So that's that. So we go to, let's say, another one. All right, let's go to... We'll get rid of those. All right. Well, let's go to Chief Chirpa. Well, guess what? You know that Chief Chirpa first appeared, at least in a blob, on a 65A card. And so the number here is 0175. So that's, again, all 65 figures have an 0175. It's a 208 because that's Chief Chirpa's number. And then the last numbers are 00 because this is the first printed card back that Chief Chirpa ever appeared on, okay? But then you can go to, let's see, that's a 65D. So the 65D, this is of Chewbacca, okay? So if you remember, the Chewbacca is a Star Wars old figure, right? This is a stickered card back, and guess what? This is a 65B card back, okay? And the number is, you can see it, 0175, 221 is Chewie's number in the Return of the Jedi, and it's an 02, because it's the second version, basically, of a printed Chewbacca card back on basically a 65 Jedi card. Okay. Then you go up from there. Let's see, all right. So we'll do the last one, which is Paplu. This is actually, I'm doing this for Eric. Anyways, so Paplu was one of the last figures, one of the two that was on the 79 card backs that was released. This is a printed card back because of the Anakin offer. This was the last of the U.S. release, Return of the Jedi card backs to be released. And you can see that based upon the number again. So now, as I said, the last two have the first 4 designation, 0800. The second is 18. Well, that's, guess what, Paplu's number. And the last version number here is an 07. So the 07 was the last printed card back in the Return of the Jedi series. Okay. So anyways, so that's just something to chew on. Go back, look at your card backs, and run the numbers. I mean, again, it's a pretty interesting way of cataloging card backs. It's also a way that you can use those numbers to figure out the card backs and the printed versions. Again, all sticker offers didn't change those numbers. These were actually physically printed card backs. So you know it was a way to kind of catalog which card backs have been printed. And so they can come back to the company with a number. Oh, well, we've sold a lot of 0175 23304s, which is a 65C. Anyways, so just something to look at. Again, nerd fest, but I love it. This is, again, the cheat sheet. Shows basically the classification system and especially all this stuff. This tells you the different versions of the printed card backs. These are just how the numbers are organized. This number, all 65 before figures have an 0175. The ones that were added for the 77 backs have 0767. And then the 2 figures that were added for the 79 have a 0800s. So anyways, just something to chew on. And hope you guys are enjoyed Good Friday. Peace, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.